love and light. So I've been asked several times by many people my opinion on marijuana and do I smoke marijuana. And although I always tell the truth, and that is that I do still use marijuana, and I give my opinion on whether it is spiritually in alignment or not, and that is that it's individual, and it depends at what point in the path you're at. It may be in alignment for you for some period of time. For others, never. At some point, you will probably outgrow it. So I have been advised by my higher self to give it up several times, and that's one area where I didn't listen, and I'm sure I suffered that choice, but I will be giving it up at the full moon. This next full moon, I will be giving it up. This is one of my last remaining vices, and in some ways it has served me because it has grounded me some, where I can be a bit airy and lost in the higher realms, you know. So, and anyways, I thought in honor of disclosing this, just because I always want to be transparent, and I don't want to pretend to be more than I am or anything like that. Whether you smoke it or not, honestly, doesn't really say anything about you. Nisargadatta smoked cigarettes until the day he left his physical body, you know. But anyways, I thought in honor of it, I would actually... That was really hard. I couldn't hear it. Well, normally if I smoke, I would put it out before a video or something like that. Not that I was trying to hide it, or maybe there was some of that in the beginning, but it was more, I didn't want to encourage it. You know, it's like all things. It depends how you use it, and it depends on you personally, what is appropriate. What works for one person will not work for the others, and you cannot tell. Like the old religious standards of trying to fit us all into one mold, and this is what works and this what doesn't, that was all divisive control and nonsense, distortions. We don't need it. We need to respect each other's individual and sovereign rights and expressions. Speaking of sovereignty, someone recently, well, first he sent me some money. It was the first viewer who has ever sent me money before. So thank you so much, Timothy. Thank you so much for that. Blessed be, love and light. It definitely does help me, you know, encourage me, tell me that I'm on the right path. As I say, I get money in all sorts of ways given to people, various things. I have various ways to help people. I don't charge anyone for anything, but sometimes people do help. And there's also been some other miraculous things happen to help me financially. But I'm still living month by month, honestly. Like the money always comes, but it's still month by month, you know, which is always like, it's a constant faith. I have to constantly be in trust, you know. Maybe that's all. It's just a big trust exercise. But anyways, this person who sent me this and wanted to have a conversation with me, and we talked. And, you know, he wanted to know if I had heard of and was interested in a certain person who is talking about sovereignty and your birth certificates and, you know, a lot of the legal ways that they control us and use us and plug us into the matrix before our birth, without our consent, by our parents' consent, as if that made it okay, you know. By their standards it does, but only by their standards. So he asked me to check the person out, and the person he wanted me to check out, his name is Christopher Hauser. And well, what I would say about Christopher Hauser, first of all, I believe he's genuine. I believe he's a scam artist. I believe he means and believes everything he's saying. That being said, his channel is only 6 months old, and it's blown up. There's 30,000 follower. Now, I don't know if he had another channel before that and he moved it over, with his subject matter. It's certainly possible. Maybe that's the explanation for that. But regardless, he's already been put in prison for these things for 3 years. Now, that certainly doesn't mean he's wrong. That can often mean someone is right in this climate and in this, with our government and structure. I mean, that's been true ever since the days of Galileo, and far before that. But, Chris seems to have an attitude like, let's fight or die, let's fight it out. I don't care what they do, this is my rights. And so, he's got that very libertarian attitude, and, I understand it. I had it myself at some point. But personally, that's, even though you're coming into the whole situation by saying, you don't have these rights to bring me here, you're still arguing with them in that way. But a lot of the information he's giving is really good. It's just that it's a certain level of information. For me, it's a drop down of level because I already know my sovereignty. I don't even have to assert it to them. I don't care what they think or don't think. If they were to drag me into a courtroom, now, having listened to some of this stuff, and also to another person who I would recommend listening to, called The House of Marcus, Marcus with a K. And he speaks about a similar thing. He's got a slightly different take on it, but he stresses not to fight them, And for those of you who don't understand what I'm talking about as far as sovereignty and the debt and the way that we are born into or inducted into soon after our birth into financial slavery, all of us. And I talk often about the school systems and how they are programming. We'll come back to the school system. So let's stay on the birth certificate and the social security number and when you're first born, okay? Now, first of all, before I get into this, let me say, I haven't done any of this myself, obviously. I have been hearing about it for a long time. I have had friends. Remember, I was in federal prison myself. I know several people involved in this movement that are imprisoned in this movement, okay? I understand many people, they've tried to explain it to me, and for a long time, I couldn't understand what they were saying. Now I understand. It makes perfect sense. It's just, I feel that there's levels above that. There are graders in power. Like, although it may be true that you can use your social security number to lien and leverage debts, for instance, maybe. But whether that's true or not, I know beings exist on the earth right now that can pull gold right out of the air. You see, this changes my perspective a little bit, Because, like I said, if I was to go into court and they were to tell me this and this and this, I would have already said the truth that I don't recognize their jurisdiction. I am not who they say they are. Just because they say I am Brian Jones with this social security number, that does not mean so. Just because the Jews in concentration camps, they had serial numbers, right? It does not mean they were those beings. The beings did not become the serial numbers just because they put them on it. That's how they justify these things. They get you to come in the court. The first thing they say is, are you so-and-so? Is this your social security number? And you say, yes, sir, yes, your honor, like that. And that's literally an admission to them. And that then makes all their laws and codes applicable to you as that. But the truth is that social security number represents a trust. And that's what these guys are talking about. The social security number represents a trust account with you as the listed beneficiary. You are the beneficiary of the trust. That means that the judge is the trustee. The trust only exists to benefit the beneficiary. It is there for the well-being of the beneficiary, supposedly. Therefore, imprisoning you or taking money from you or impeding your life in any way cannot be shown to benefit you. Therefore, that is in violation of the trust agreement. So they can't do that. That's the whole point. But if they can get you to admit that you are this fictitious person, all capital letters person, which is a corporate identity, they have assigned that represents the trust. So you are not the trust. You are not your social security number or birth certificate. You are the being behind it, which they don't know or understand. So from the beginning, I would go into any courtroom and say, I am a sovereign being. I have existed prior to my mother's naming of me. Because when your mother signs the birth certificate, what she is doing is entering you into an agreement with the government. She is making you an asset of the government, an asset that they are supposed to take care of in turn. So they set up this trust for you, the Social Security number, to benefit you as the benefactor of the trust, and as an asset of theirs to take care of. And then they can use, as trustees, they can use all the money in there as your assets. As their assets to invest however they want. All right. But my point is, just because they say you are that, and just because your mother signed something saying so, does not make it true, does not make it right, and does not mean you have to be in agreement with it. Because, again, you existed prior to the naming of you. You existed prior to the numbering of you. You existed prior to any human ideas about you and what you are, and any labels and attempts to constrict you and own you and propertize you, turn you into property. Or in other words, enslavement. Not only that, I would tell any judge that you as a judge, there is the legal argument, like you can say that. You can say, and I certainly believe it will work. You can say, you are the trustee, I am the benefactor, and they have to agree to that in court. They can't just sit there and lie. So if they agree to that the Social Security number is a trust, and they are the trustee and they're the benefactor, then they can't stand in judgment of you. That's a conflict of interest, They can't be in both those positions at once. They would have to recuse themselves or null process the case. And I've done similar things myself in court, without the legal knowledge, just standing up for myself, and it worked, every time. If you empower yourself in court, it will. First of all, I don't let a lawyer speak for me, and I never will again. And the times that I took matters into my own hands was when it turned out good. When you let a lawyer speak to you, the lawyers are agents of that system. And you are agreeing then that you are this person and you need to defend that person. You don't need to defend the trust. That's their job. You're the benefactor, But regardless, that's all playing it from their level. That's how I see it. Because the real truth is that we are both created by God, or whatever you want to call it. Even if you don't want to believe in God, it doesn't matter. The point is, we were equally created. Okay? They were not created as a judge with me as someone that can be judged by them. That is not that is not natural law. That is not real. That is not true. That is what they want you to believe. That is what they want you to accept. That they have the right to judge you. But just because some other people agreed to things before, in the past, before you were born, does not mean that you today have to still follow it. That's not right. That's not true. Just because a bunch of people made up laws in the past, you are a free sovereign being today. We are all born equally free and sovereign. So why are these person's ideas and beliefs enforced with violence and threat of imprisonment and financial ruin and all these things, and everyone has to listen to them? Why? Because they agreed to the nonsense from the past. Everyone that toes the line and agrees to the system, which is the past bullcrap we created. So whoever agrees to the madness of the past gets rewarded by the past nonsense as an upholder of that system. But all of us can stand against the system anytime by making our free sovereign choice, irregardless of their false consequences, because they're false. Even if they were to imprison me, I can leave my body. I know I can leave my body. We all know we can leave our body, in fact, right? I don't mean to be, I don't mean to be glib, but in some ways we have to stay a little lighthearted with this stuff, But look, I've been imprisoned. I've faced death multiple times, and I've faced contemplating and coming to the point of wanting to take my own life, And I know now, I know the truth, that they can only hurt you if you believe they can. They can only hurt you while you're plugged into their system, while you're dependent upon them. They can only control you while you let them. Because all of us, when we go to sleep at night, leave our body, and all of us know at some point we can die and leave this body, and some of us know we can ascend and leave to a whole other reality without even leaving this body completely. You'll still leave this body, but it won't feel like that. It won't be a complete restart. You won't have to forget, come back and start over with new memories again. You'll keep your memories. That's the only difference. But either way, we know everything here is temporary. That's my point, okay? But people think they can be put in situations for 10, 20 years. You can't. You can't be forced into anything for any length of time. You're always in agreement. You could stop breathing anytime you want. What do you think would happen? What do you think would happen? That's what you got to play out. Let's play it out. Let's play it out, right? All the way. They take me in the courtroom. I say, I don't recognize your court or your jurisdiction or your authority to say anything in me, nor do I recognize your ability to hold me, detain me, or harm me in any way. You may, in this matrix, be able to create the appearance within your minds and reality of harming me. It will not be so within my reality at all. So do as you will, right? At that point, if they actually attempt to exercise that, right, a schism will be created, right, where they will go into a reality where they in fact victimize me however they want, separating them further from the ascending collective, and they meet their own karmic ends for that, while I go on to ascend. Or in fact, let's say that I allow them to play it out for whatever reason, and they put me in a cell, okay? And let's say they're able to hold my physical body there, all right? So I meditate. That's it. I stop eating, stop drinking, stop interacting. I meditate. I go deep inside, contact my source, contact my higher self, and we exit this time stream. Boom. Go back into another time stream, start over. Pretty easy. That's literally how it happens. And if not, then it was my exit point already, and I ascend and I go on to New Earth as an ascended master. I'll finish up whatever karmic clearing I need in the higher spiritual realms, and in the upper fourth or in the upper fifth. I'm not sure exactly where that would happen. And then I'd shift right into New Earth, right about the time it was getting in full swing, probably. I don't know, or whenever I wanted. There's no force upon you as a free will infinite being. You could come back and try as many times as you want. They could walk up to you, put a gun to your head, and shoot you, right? And you come right back, and the next time the gun jams, or the next time they don't shoot you. You just skip to a slightly different reality. You just keep coming back. You just keep fixing it. You can do it forever. You can do it forever. That's why you can dead end them. That's why the real matrix, the real force that's moving all these agents against you, understand? Not the people, not the peons, not the faces, the actual matrix and energy that is pushing these things against you, because you're pushing against it, because you keep fighting, right? You can't leave the matrix that way. You can't leave the matrix fighting, kicking and screaming. No, because the fifth dimension is harmony. You have to stop fighting. You have to recognize your sovereignty now. Like now, right now, now. Now the guy, House of Marcus, he's real big on saying, don't fight them, don't fight them. You're sovereign being now, and he has his own way of understanding it. I would like to talk to him. I haven't yet. But what I was saying before about the matrices, the matrix and the true forces of darkness that are trying to impose these things, right? They understand your actual power. Don't get it wrong, okay? And they may not understand the full scope of it, but they know they can't force you. They know. They know they can seriously pay for attempting to run into a wall over and over again. It is a losing battle that will hurt them. They know, right? So yes, when you're unsure, they will keep attempting. They will keep attempting. But when you actually stand in your power, when you look them right in the eye and say, no, you're not telling me anything, everything changes. Everything changes. And I feel like that's what these people, these sovereign guys in court are kind of manifesting, and they're seeing it happen in their way. But really, they're telling them, like, I don't think so. I think you're a bunch of bullshit. I don't think I have to say anything. I don't think I have to recognize you at all, brother, sister. You're trying to sit here, pull the wool over my eyes, like you can command me like a king and queen when we are both equal children of God. We were both equal co-creators of infinity. No, I don't think so. So they're saying it in their way, and I would say it in mine. But the equal effect is they stop pushing on you. They stop. They go somewhere else. They take their business elsewhere. So, yeah, I have tried to, I've been listening to the House of Marcus and the other guy some, and I've listened to other people. And it's a lot of good information. But listening to too much of it bogs me down to the material, because again, like, I don't need to, they don't come at me anymore because I've already exited the matrix. Understand, the fifth dimension is real now. Freedom is here. Freedom is here. Love will free you completely. Love will free you completely. You can be free in the mind to some extent. You can free yourself from psychological bonds. You can free yourself from the psychological bonds out here that we have projected out into the world that we call the matrix. These are our psychological and etheric and astral creations out here, So you can free yourself from that. But if you really want to free yourself from suffering, it's in the heart. Your freedom is in the heart. Free the heart, unchain the heart, free yourself. Free love itself to free you. Because they can't stand against love. Maybe they can't stand against your light. Maybe not. That's the knowledge. That's the truth. Maybe you can argue them down with pure light. Maybe so. But I'm going to tell you, if you go in there with love too, won't be a fight. Won't be a battle. Nope. Nothing to fight. Love has no enemies.